Hi, it's me, Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut. Welcome to Starbase, Texas. Today, I'm going to be taking you up SpaceX's launch tower, otherwise known as Stage 0, with Elon Musk. We'll get the ultimate view of Starbase and learn more about just how exactly SpaceX plans to catch the world's largest flying object with giant robotic chopsticks. This is part 2 of our spring 2022 Starbase tour with Elon. In the first part, we got up close and personal with the high bay and Starship prototypes, and in the next part, we'll get really in-depth with Raptor 2 and Merlin rocket engines. So stay tuned. And if you happen to find this video valuable, consider dropping a super thanks as a tip below here on YouTube, or become a channel member or Patreon supporter for early access and to show your support. That being said, let's get up in there. I feel like you always talk about, how you just want to build an exciting future, a world where people get excited about stuff, wake up and want to do cool things. And yeah, I got to tell you, standing right here, man, that's pretty hard to not get excited about this.
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty crazy. I mean, there's a custom-built tower with arms that are designed to catch the largest and heaviest flying object ever made and pluck it out of the air. I mean, that's the theory anyway. So.
Yeah, I think it's funny, people actually forget now that they're actually meant to lift and stack the rocket. The cranes have such bad wind capability, but one time the booster legs were gonna weigh a lot, and Elon just said, delete the legs, delete. We're like, well, what is he like? You just use the arms, and then you said it again. I mean, they go, wow, he's serious. Okay, we better get on this. And now it seems normal, or we think
at least seems plausible.
It seems plausible. Yeah.
I mean, it's still super crazy, but the more you talk about it, I mean, I think at SpaceX we specialize in converting things from impossible to late. So, but it's pretty nutty because you're gonna have this gigantic, booster coming back. I mean, that's 9 meters in diameter, not counting the chines, or roughly 30 feet in diameter. It'll weigh about 250 tons. It's a bit on the heavy side. We'll make that lighter over time.
Weighs about 250 now, is that what you said?
This is way heavier than, I think we can get the, well, there's the weight at, there's weight at different points. So it's like, say, like weight when the landing tanks are full versus weight when the landing tanks are empty. There's also how much ullage mass do you have? And there's
dry weight's kind of floating. There's dry weight is kind of a relative when it's actually in the air.
Yeah, I mean, there's several tons of air mass in the vehicle.
Yeah.
If you just say, like, what's the mass of one atmosphere in that volume? It's several tons. So anyway, but I think we'll be able to get the mass well under 200 tons over time, but still pretty heavy. So you got, like, call it a couple hundred tons, plummeting at let's see. I mean, I think the velocity at which we start up the engines is more than half the speed of sound. So this thing is still coming in really fast.
Yeah.
Pretty much down in a downward direction. So then they light the engines. Like I said, I think around Mach 0.5, give or take. But it's only, several hundred meters in the air. So it's going to slow itself down very fast. Then correct any error. So like whatever the XY error is when the engines land, it's going to take out that XY error, and then drop the velocity to basically 0. Come in between the arms. The arms will be wide, and as it's coming in, the arms will close, go flush against the side of the vehicle, and the vehicle will be descending through the arms. And those tiny little, can barely see them. The little knobs, those kind of lifting lugs will touch the top of the arms, and then it will hopefully not shear off and crumple. Joe, is there anything you want to add to that? I don't know if you caught that, but I was just describing the landing sequence.
Yep.
You know.
That was accurate.
Okay.
We really hope it doesn't hit the tower.
Yeah. This.
Yeah, exactly. And especially not that launch ring, which is really difficult to make. That launch ring is very complicated.
We have not found a reason yet why it will not work.
Yes, success is one of the possible outcomes. The probability is uncertain, but it is above zero. So the part of so like the arms are off to the side. So in theory, the booster is going to come back, and then when the engine start up, it'll translate over, slow down and translate over, and get in between the arms. Arms need to close, and when they close, they need to close in such a way that they don't crush the rocket as well.
Right. Or score it all the way up the whole thing, just.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways for this to fail.
How quickly, like, is it going to close like almost at the last second, like, or will it be mostly closed and there's a small tolerance there and it skirts the whole thing by,
It's intended to close on the methane tank, so the smooth upper section about the top third of the rocket, and then you can keep translating down.
Okay.
And catch on those nubs that stick out of the rocket.
Yeah. I mean, if things are going right, it will actually look like the rocket is descending between the arms for quite a while. Because the length of the thing is like basically around 70 meters. So if you've got a descent rate of, I don't know, let's say 2 or 3 meters per second, and you have 20 meters or something like that.
Yeah.
It's okay. You're waiting for like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah. so it'll actually be like, actually, this is taking a while.
And now you got to clear those chines too. You can't have it be so close down on the.
The chines will be blocked kind of away from the tower, so they won't be increasing.
Oh, got it. The opposite way from the clamps.
Exactly.
Got it. So that makes sense. That's cool.
But you still need to get the rocket has to still fit in between these arms.
Right.
So, it's still got to come in and
it has to center up, and the arms will slew in.
Yeah.
To meet it wherever it is.
So if it's off to one side, it's going to hit one of the arms, which will be quite bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Or cook the arm, or a bunch of bad things can happen.
It's just insane, though. I mean, it looks big from far away, but it looks even bigger when you're underneath it and you start to see almost the atmospheric distortion and the haze make it fade into the distance there.
Yeah, I'm told this is the tallest thing south of San Antonio. So.
Right. Yeah, because I think the other tallest was on South Padre. They have that the hotel was the other tallest thing in the whole area here. So
yeah,
and that's quite a bit taller. Actually, booster and rocket are almost identical. Or at least the 120 meter version was like exactly the size of the Sapphire over there. So if people need to know what that feels like, just go up in the Sapphire and know that's how big this rocket is, which is insane to think about. Obviously, you're not too worried about like the human landing system right now compared to just getting things into orbit, but how's that, has any of that stuff solidified yet? Like the any of the human landing system?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of sort of design done on the computer level, but and there's some hardware, but our focus is getting to orbit. If we can't,
human landing won't work without getting to orbit, obviously.
Yeah, we need Starship to get to orbit because it's also got to. It's the only thing that can carry the Starlink 2 satellites. Yeah. So we've already produced the first, and we have on site the first Starlink 2 satellite. And it's 7 meters long, and Falcon has neither the volume nor the mass to orbit capability required for Starlink 2. So even if we shrunk the Starlink 2 satellite down, the total up mass of Falcon is not nearly enough to do Starlink 2.
How heavy does one version 2 weigh?
Well, it's about 1.25 tons.
Dude, they're so volumetrically huge that.
Yeah, but if you just say like there's a lot of people talk a lot about how many launches per year there are to orbit, but this is not really what matters. I think what really matters is what's the total useful payload to orbit per year.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, you could say if this were ocean ships, you'd be like comparing a dinghy to a supertanker, and it's like they're not the same.
Yeah.
For a satellite constellation, the thing that really matters is what is your total mass flux, useful mass flux to orbit.
Yep.
Mass to orbit. Yeah, so we need Starship to work and to fly frequently, or Starlink 2 will be stuck on the ground.
Wow. So that's your big motivator at this point, is like get these things going, and so I assume because they're bigger, will there have to be fewer of those to service the same amount of like area? Like, is version 2 going to be in a higher orbit, servicing more people, like with per satellite, or is it just bigger so it has higher capacity, more bandwidth, more like all of that, I guess, compared to version 1?
The Starlink 2 satellites are almost an order of magnitude more capable than Starlink 1.
Bandwidth-wise, or total like throughput?
Just think of it like how many useful bits of data can each satellite do. The Starlink 2, in terms of useful bits of data, is almost an order of magnitude better than Starlink 1.
Are those different user terminals too, compared to?
The user terminals are on a separate upgrade path.
Okay.
Yeah. Although user terminals work with Starlink 1 or Starlink 2 satellites, but the Starlink 2s are just much more capable.
That's awesome. Yeah. Is it possible to go up in the tower a decent amount, or?
I don't know. Can we go up in the tower? Is the elevator working?
As long as the generator's on, yeah, I can fire it up.
Okay.
I mean, just might not be a bad place to watch a sunset at this point.
Yeah. Hit.
No, sorry. Excuse me. What level are y'all going to?
Top or do
Yeah.
Men's department.
I guess we can stop at the QDM and then pop, then continue up.
Level 15 and then.
Yeah.
working on getting a faster elevator for the next tower. Yeah. Trying to find the fastest departure.
This view is going to be insane. I can already get little sneak peeks through the. Dang.
Wow. This is epic.
This is so epic.
We're not even at the top.
Fair enough, it's worth going. This is where the key arm is.
Oh, hey,
I think
look!
the top definitely has a better view.
Look how beefy all this stuff is, though.
Yeah, I mean, this is insane, custom designed, gigantic hardware. I mean, it's hard to believe this is real.
It genuinely is. Jeez.
That's
Yes.
it's quite the view.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's beautiful. You can
Look
see
at it's
the top
above
of the
the
booster
booster
there.
even right now.
And we are in the sky. We can't even see South Padre.
Oh wow. Yeah, really hazy. Well, should we go up?
Yeah.
It's even better when there's a vehicle on the hot shot.
Oh, I know. I know. I can't imagine.
Up close and personal.
Seriously.
You'll have to come back.
Oh yeah. I missed it. I missed the one. I came out here, I think, the day after you guys stacked. Well, I guess I came here for the last event.
Yeah.
But I think he stacked on like the 4th, or I don't know, something. I don't remember what day it was, but I was here like the very next day.
We had wind coming in, so.
That's right.
It was a sprint to get there.
Yeah.
We weren't early that time.
Emergency escape ladder thing?
Go on the roof and there's a hand crane that'll come all the way down. We like completely lost power.
Wow. I maybe want to do that once. It'd probably take like an hour, I feel like, to get down the side. Holy crap, we're really getting up here though. The craziest thing to me is that none of this was here a year ago.
Yeah.
You know, that's just hard to fathom. It's like, especially if you were out here 3 years ago and saw quite literally nothing but a field and a little R2D2 can, you know? Wow, look at that.
I mean, it's far down there.
If this isn't surreal, I don't know what is.
Yeah, totally. It's insane. I mean, the ship looks small from here.
The ship looks tiny from here.
I mean, even people are like tiny. It's like, whoa.
How tall is this again at this point?
143 meters at the top.
Okay.
About 138 maybe.
Oh my God! And look at how hazy even the production site is right now.
Yeah. Well, this is not a good place if you have a fear of heights, that's for sure.
Either that or you'll get over them real quick.
Yeah. We should get like a hang glider and jump off or something. That'd be sweet.
You could sell rides as a zip line over to the high bay.
You could probably zip line pretty far.
Yeah. I can't believe how small the boosters look from here even.
Yeah.
And it just looks, look how it looks so fake right now. This is insane. And just how does that feel?
Whoa. Vertigo.
Oh my God.
You can see the ocean out there.
We really lucked out on the night.
The Gulf, I guess. Insane.
It is insane.
It's gorgeous.
I feel like this is the time to be philosophical almost. It's just so inspiring out here, you know. It's I mean, in your heart of hearts, like in the very depths of your soul, do you really believe this is like the start of making humans multiplanetary?
I believe we have I think for the first time it is possible. That's a possible outcome to make life multiplanetary. The key to making life multiplanetary is a fully reusable rocket. That's the key. So full and rapid reusability, like an aircraft. So it's just very hard to achieve full reusability given the strength of Earth's gravity field and the density of the atmosphere. Full reusability is like relatively easy on Mars, which has around 37-38% of Earth's gravity and about 1% atmospheric density. But it's just barely possible to achieve reusability on Earth. Like it's not as though, you know, all the rocket engineers in the past. It's not as though reusability never occurred to them. I mean, they're well aware of aircraft and other things. It's just that it's an incredibly difficult technical problem, and they just thought it was impossible, or the probability of success was so low that it was not worth doing. So
I feel like, I feel like you almost had a bit of a Noah's Ark-esque, you know, if you're to get biblical aspect of at the last talk, was saying how, you know, if you care about life, then and the true continuation of life on Earth and continuation of life as a consciousness, then you have to have a sustained planet, you know, another sustained planet off of Earth. And
exactly. I mean, I think, you know, if you think really long term, then you realize that eventually there will be some natural disaster, even if it is not made by humans, that destroys all life on Earth. So eventually the sun will expand and evaporate the oceans, and we'll be like Venus, you know, just so hot that no life can really exist, or maybe some chemotrophic bacteria, but eventually even they will die. So the only way to prolong life as we know it is for us to become multiplanetary and ultimately multistellar. And if we do not do that, all life on Earth will die. So those who care about life on Earth should really care a lot about life becoming multiplanetary and ultimately multistellar.
Well, I think there's a lot of people get attached to this idea that for some reason, you know, SpaceX or other aerospace companies are trying to escape Earth and escape Earth's problems. And I think you put it into a really good perspective that, you know, currently specifically like NASA's budget's, you know, 0.3% of the, you know, the federal budget. And then let alone, you know, the entire cost of how much we're investing so far in you know, making, you know, getting humans off of Earth and protecting our planet, even with asteroid defense and stuff, is still relatively small. I think people don't understand that.
Oh yes, the Earth does not currently have any ability to stop asteroids. Now with Starship, that we then have some ability to stop an asteroid. Actually, technically, a comet would be the real danger, because there are billions, if not more than billions, maybe trillions of objects that are in the outer solar system. Some of them that are very long period comets. An example that most people are probably aware of is Halley's Comet. So I forget the exact periodicity, but it's slightly under once per century that Halley's Comet comes by. So there are probably many objects, many comets that have very long periods that we simply don't know exist. And for example, the comet Shoemaker-Levy, when that hit Jupiter, it made a hole in Jupiter the size of Earth. So if that did hit Earth, it's game over. Everything's dead. anyways, there's always some risk of such a thing occurring, and the probable lifespan of life is just much greater if we're a multi-planet and ultimately multi-stellar civilization.
Well, I think people also don't tend to realize that it's not a zero-sum game, that if we're working on rockets and spaceflight and aerospace technology and all of these things, life support for these things, it's not just that this company spent $100 million on a rocket and that $100 million went into space. It's that $100 million went into the economy, invested in our own technology, our terrestrial technology. Look at all the spin-offs of NASA and what NASA had done in the 60s and 70s to create the society that we live in today. I think people are short-sighted sometimes on the implications that you don't immediately see, those things that you don't immediately grasp, because they're just kind of unknowns at this point.
I mean, in general, the economy, it's very much a positive sum game, a kind of a growing the pie situation. When people examine their understanding or beliefs of the economy, if they have an implicit assumption that the economy is zero sum, then the only way for one person to get ahead is by taking things from another. But obviously the economy today is much, much greater than it was in the past. And we have the economic output per person is massively greater than the past. And so obviously what has happened is that the pie has grown, and it has grown much faster than the population has grown. Essentially, if one creates wealth or creates great products and services, that is something that should be applauded. That is, we've effectively increased the standard of living of the country and perhaps of the world. And sometimes people will conflate or essentially think of consumption and wealth as the same thing, but they're obviously not the same thing. This is a sort of a long argument of sort of capital allocation is a job. Consumption is fun, but capital allocation is a job.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't think a ton of people want, say, Warren Buffett's job, which is to read through very tedious annual reports of companies, including the minutia of the accounting, and decide whether to invest in Coke or Pepsi. Like, I don't want that job.
I think aerospace in general kind of still follows the same, if back in the day, at one point, no one had electricity, running water, air conditioning, all of modern life conveniences. Yeah. And of course, at first it started off as something that only a few people could get, and now it's, a pretty common standard of living across the world. And
yeah,
you got to start somewhere. Same with air travel,
Yeah, exactly. Air travel used to be accessible to to very few people. It was insanely expensive and dangerous, and now it is commonplace to fly somewhere. TVs used to be rare and expensive, and then big flat screen plasmas used to be extremely expensive, and now you can buy, go to Walmart and buy an amazing flat screen plasma for $500. It's amazing.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
Oh man, I don't want to end the conversation on Walmart plasmas, but at the same time.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a hell of a lot of progress.
I mean, again, not to bring up the past, but 3 years ago, I think the first time I ever came out here was March 2019, so almost exactly 3 years ago. And all you had was little Hoppy. He had just made it out here and was starting to do some of the initial static firing. That was
yeah,
3 years
amazing
ago.
That the hopper is still there. Yeah.
Looking over us all. The grandfather we all need.
Yeah.
But even the tank farm was like 3 tanks of those smaller, for the first test. It was so tiny, and there was literally just a dirt mound and 3 tanks. And now, it's and there was a tent out there, and that was about it.
Yeah, the propellant storage for the whole vehicles was actually that was quite difficult. Put a lot of effort into the propellant storage.
Okay, so if you have to scrub, if you're trying to do like the first static fires and stuff, how long does it take to recycle? Because you're probably, what's that look like? Because you have to drain the propellants back into the tanks, and say you have to come out here and wrench on something, and you have 33 engines that all have to work harmoniously. What's a scrub and recycle look like with this system right now?
At first, it's going to take us a long time to scrub and recycle, but over time, it should be very fast. And we really shouldn't be scrubbing. It should just take off. It's like a normal thing.
Yeah, but obviously the first booster static fires will be probably.
It's going to be very bumpy at first. For Falcon 9 in the beginning, we'd have like a dozen recycles. Like we'd scrub the launch like a dozen times.
Yeah.
For a while there, I was living out at the Cape, basically just working on getting the damn rocket getting all 9 engines to start and take off, and because we would just have one launch abort after another. So I brought the kids with me, and I went to Disney World a lot and Harry Potter Land.
I think we should probably get out of here.
Hopefully that interview is good.
Thanks again to Elon for all of your generous time, and thanks to Ryan Chilinsky with Cosmic Perspective for helping to capture and share this conversation. And I owe a huge thank you to my Patreon supporters for helping make this and everything we do at Everyday Astronaut possible. If you want to help support us, head on over to patreon.com/everydayastronaut. And while you're online, be sure and check out our awesome merch store for shirts like this, the RD-171 shirt, and lots of other cool, nerdy rocket stuff at everydayastronaut.com/shop. Thanks, everybody. That's going to do it for me. I'm Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut, bringing space down to Earth for everyday people.